What's going on, everybody? It's your boy Naruto Explain here, bringing you guys another set of major Boruto 2 Blue Vortex Chapter 4 spoilers. And dude, we gotta pour out a little bit of liquor for the big homie Sasuke because he's met the worst possible fate. We got teasers of Sarada versus Kawaki coming in the future. Boruto mastering the Flying Raijin during his training with Kashi and Koji's been confirmed, and new enemies that have arrived that have forever changed the power scaling in the Naruto world in a major way. As always, I will only talk about the spoilers that stood out to me. Much appreciation to Abdul over on Twitter for posting the leaks, and my guys from OP Scans for helping out as well. The full chapter review will be out on the 20th this month when the chapter officially drops, and I'll be giving my editor the audio tonight, so keep notifications turned on for the chapter review. Finally, as a reminder, so as to avoid copyright strikes, I'm not going to be showing all the raw panels. If I have any colored scans, I will use those, but in order to avoid copyright strikes, you will not see the raw panels on here. I'm not going through that again. So with that being said, let's look at the leaks that we have here. So jumping right in, the first scene that we got to take a look at is this bombshell that Sasuke suffered the ultimate rest in peace moment by getting turned into a tree during the Boruto time skip. Right now, we don't know the specifics of what went down because, as expected with an ongoing manga, you're not going to get all the answers right away. Based off of the information that we have in the chapter, it does seem as if a Patreon fan theory that one of you guys sent me months ago is actually correct, which is that Boruto might have been saved by Sasuke when one of those claw grimes tried to eat Boruto and Sasuke ended up saving him, which is why Boruto was in Konoha looking for a way to reverse it. I honestly don't remember which of you guys suggested it because I've done a lot of Patreon fan theories, but I do know we covered it here in the Boruto fan theory playlist, so congratulations to whoever said that because you are a really great prognosticator. While the idea of Sasuke being turned into a Christmas tree complete with his own Sharingan Christmas light decorations is something that hurts me to my soul as a Sasuke fan, as much as it probably hurts Boruto to water that tree that Sasuke's trapped under. I will say that this is a poetic turn of events for Sasuke's character. He ended Boruto Naruto Next Generation seemingly ready to pass on his will of fire to protect the village from the shadows to Boruto in chapter 75, and in Boruto chapter 80 he was unsure as to if Boruto was actually who he said he was and wasn't sure if he was making a mistake by helping him. And now that we see that Sasuke, in spite of the Shinjutsu effects, has actually sacrificed himself in order to protect Boruto during the time skip, which makes that shot of Boruto sitting under the tree speaking to Sasuke hit home that much harder and that much more heartbreaking. It makes you realize that this is why Boruto's carrying around Sasuke's sword during the time skip and why Boruto's dressing like Sasuke. It makes all that stuff hit that much harder. And I do want to say this, big shouts out to my big homie from Neverworld who made a really good point when I talked to him earlier this morning. He said this scene with Boruto and Sasuke is right out the Berserk manga, which I can attest to since I haven't read Berserk, but I really want those guys down in the comment section to kind of explain that Berserk connection for me, because all I have is the manga panel that Neverworld sent me. I don't have any context behind it, so I'm very curious to know the actual details behind it. Now, the next thing that we have here is that confirmation of what Sarada told us in the last chapter, which is that those who are trapped inside the trees after being bit by the claw grimes are still alive, but sadly they suffer a fate that is worse than death, and it looks like an OG Naruto character has actually been taken down, and I ain't talking about Sasuke. They aren't just trapped in the god tree, but they're literally turned into miniature god trees that are capable of walking, talking, and having independent thought, and most importantly using the ninjutsu of those that they had bitten. And based off of what we've seen, it isn't just Sasuke who suffered an off-screen comatose by tree fate either, because Moegi appears to have been defeated, and at some point during the time skip this happened, or it happened during the Konoha invasion, because one of the new villains looks just like her. It also has access to her ninjutsus, using the same ninjutsu that Moegi used to trap Minato when he first came to Konoha, which I gotta say, that is a very interesting decision to kind of go that route. We knew based off of how code was being worn by Boruto and how the claw grimes are acting with the signs that they are experiencing their own emotions, that they are evolving, but to see this in real time is absolutely mind-blowing. However, you might be thinking to yourself, so what if Moegi is one of these things now? She's a Joni. She isn't that strong. However, the leaks made it clear that this Kawaki, as well as the others who have achieved this humanoid status, also have the Rinnegan in both of their eyes. So that by itself is a monster amp in power, and just based off what we've seen with these Kawaki so far and the fact that Boruto was begging Code to assist him in the battle against them, these things are clearly a lot stronger than we might have originally anticipated, a lot stronger than any of the ones we saw in Konoha, in particular the one that Kawaki had to use the Karma Seal on in order to defeat, given Boruto's desperation to get help from a beyond Jigen level fighter to assist him in this battle, which speaks volumes as to how strong Boruto himself currently is. I do think this is something that we do have to look at and consider and begin to worry about. Now, what should stand out here based off of this is that Boruto, based off his desperation to find the Ten Tails, it does seem as if there is a way to reverse the fate of those who have been turned into a tree by the Ten Tails, but it looks like you need to have the main body of the Ten Tails to accomplish this, because Boruto appears to have wanted the main body to restore Sasuke back to normal and whoever else is affected by the Ten Tails that was bidden, as well as then destroy the Ten Tails afterwards. He basically had the same line of thinking that Sasuke had in his mind when he fought against Naruto in Naruto Volume 72. He planned to kill Naruto, then he planned to execute the 5 Kage who were trapped under the Infinite Tsukuyomi, force the 9 Biju to weave the hand seals to break the Infinite Tsukuyomi, since he didn't need Naruto to do so, because the Biju could be used as a place in for Naruto, and then afterwards he was going to destroy the 9 Biju. I think Boruto had a similar plan in place. Use the Ten Tails to save those who need to be saved, and then destroy them for the greater good of the ninja world itself. Now, the next thing that we have here is that the seeds have been planted very strongly for Sarada versus Kawaki in the future, because Sarada is literally telling Kawaki that she's going to stop him, telling him that by Kawaki's own logic, killing Otsutsuki means killing Kawaki as well, which somewhere Sasuke is looking up from that tree trunk that he's trapped under and he's saying, "That's my little peanut," unless of course the only thing he can say is "I am Groot," because he's technically a tree. I know the jokes are probably getting on Sasuke fans' nerves. I can't help it if our boy is the Whomping Willow right now. Sarada is clearly taking the gloves off with Kawaki right now. It just remains to be seen as to if this will work out in the way that she's saying that it will, because for her to be talking in this way to Kawaki right in this man's face means that she has one massively broken Mangekyo Sharingan ability, or she's leveled up a lot more than we thought during the 3-year time skip, which that could be the case since we didn't really see her do much fighting at this point in the story. So this is going to be very interesting in terms of developments that we have to keep our eyes on moving forward. Now, the last thing that stands out from this chapter is the fact that Boruto, through means that we do not know the answer to as of yet, because again, this is ongoing manga. You don't get the answers right away. Boruto has mastered the Flying Raijin somehow. This is not Boruto using Shinjutsu either, which is what I thought originally until I saw more of the chapter. He directly calls it the Flying Raijin, and Jesus, I'm going to need a proper explanation on how he learned this jutsu. I'm not doubting that Boruto has the chakra reserves to pull it off. I've said as much going as far back as before the time skip that without the Karma Seal, Boruto's chakra reserves, while smaller than Naruto's, if we just use them in the base with no Karma Seal, and Boruto still had enough chakra to perform the jutsu. My only question was, where was he gonna learn it? While Naruto himself does not use the jutsu, does not know the jutsu, which I've discussed in my video aptly titled Why Naruto Never Learned the Flying Raijin, which I recommend checking out if the Viz Media mistranslations have you thinking he knows the jutsu, but there are people inside the Hidden Leaf Village who do know the jutsu itself. Case in point, Genma and the other 2 Hokage guards that were assigned to Minato and Tsunade know the basics of how to perform the jutsu. However, as we are told in Naruto's manga, they can't perform the jutsu as individuals due to not having Minato's monster chakra pool to even perform the basic variation of the jutsu, which requires an enormous amount of chakra, let alone all the variations that Minato has. And they make it a point to say that the 3 of them have to pull their chakra together just to perform the basic teleportation. That should give some perspective into how impressive it is what Boruto's pulling off right now on his own without any other chakra boost. However, it is worth noting that Boruto himself does state that the jutsu is something that he doesn't have full mastery over because he's still not as good as his grandfather, but he is able to teleport using the jutsu. Based off of the panels that we've seen, it does appear as if Boruto isn't using sealed kunai in the way that Minato was, which that isn't the only way that you have to perform the jutsu. You just have to have a sealing marker placed somewhere. Minato used kunais, but he also could teleport to wherever individual seals were embedded. And based off what we see in the manga, it looks like Boruto's using that Konoha insignia that we see the Toad carrying, because we see it briefly in the manga, and this is the same insignia that is on Boruto's clothes as well, and that Toad is carrying it around. So I think that's how Boruto was able to teleport. That's interesting if Boruto put his own stamp onto the jutsu, which is what you're supposed to do. Take jutsu passed down to you, make it your own. Chances are the sealing formula is on that Konoha insignia that Boruto has the Toad carrying. Boruto knowing Flying Raijin makes him an even bigger threat for someone like Kawaki, but most importantly, it nullifies the threat of Ada. If you recall, Ada telling Boruto the moment he stepped foot in Konoha, their treaty was going to be broken, and she'd only stop helping Konoha look for him as long as he stayed out the village. Well, that ship has definitely sailed. But now that Boruto's able to teleport to where he has markers placed, Boruto does have a method to escape now. Could Ada reveal where the markers are, and could Konoha stretch themselves thin? Absolutely, but that only works in Boruto's favor, because Konoha being spread so thin makes it easier to move around, not for the purposes of attacking, but in order to protect them. That being said, this is going to be it for the spoilers today. As always, when we get the full chapter, I'll drop the review. While I am going to be using the translation from OP Scan's website, I'm going to wait to release the review until the official date, since a lot of you guys have told me you prefer to read the official release before checking out the reviews. But I will say this was a great ending to the intro arc of the manga. If this is the end of the intro arc, which I think it is, I'll have the audio for the review over to my editor, so expect that top of the Mook peak editing that you're going to get. Meanwhile, check out my new Black Clover video on KRYPTONIAN SAIYAN, which is safe to watch if you're an anime only Black Clover fan.